right, everyone. Welcome to today's LexisNexis Canada featured webinar on innovative legal drafting. I'm Matt Canning, in-house corporate counsel for LexisNexis North America. With me is Dan Chiarabellini, our resident product expert and large law customer relationship manager. Just before we get started, I'm told there will be a poll which should pop up on your screen any moment if it hasn't already. If everyone could take a moment and answer it for our business folks, it would be much appreciated. I'll just give you 30 seconds or so. Okay. And just a heads up, there'll be a second poll just before the end of the webinar, and I'll give everyone a reminder. So please do that before signing off. As I'm sure many of you are already aware, generative AI is revolutionizing the way that legal professionals draft documents. In my experience, it streamlines routine tasks and can generate high-quality content very quickly and efficiently. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Lexis Create, which is what we'll be showing today, it is a Microsoft Word add-in and legal drafting tool that delivers a personalized drafting experience directly within Microsoft Word. Create has the ability to pull templates from our LexisNexis database and connect with your internal document management system to pull templates directly from your own system. As Dan and I work through this, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat and we'll do our best to answer them at the end. We only have 30 minutes, so if we can't get to them, those questions will be answered in the post-webinar email that will go out in the next couple of days. All right. So let's imagine you or a client need a master services agreement template to use when contracting. At this stage, of course, it would be helpful if you had a base template that could be customized to the particular business needs or context. But for the sake of this webinar, let's assume that you don't have one. So a good first step would be to see if our Lexis Plus AI platform can produce an MSA for your review. So Dan, can you show us whether Lexis Plus AI can produce a master services agreement?
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. So let's start by sharing my screen. Everyone should see Lexis Plus in front of them now. Yeah, and so absolutely. So we have, we have a bunch of master service agreements precedents in our practical guidance, but I'm gonna, rather than browsing my way there or searching by traditional methods, I'm gonna kind of hack my way to it. And I'm going to do something, I'm going to ask a non-legal question, but an almost legal question in Lexis Plus AI. I'm just going to ask, are there any precedents or templates, master services agreement, and Lexis Plus? So it should only take a few minutes, and then it should point us to the precedents that are already in the system. So I've asked a question. Lexis Plus AI is giving me an output. Now it's not hyperlinking to the documents in the output, probably because I've asked it a non-legal question. But if I go to view related material, I can look at everything it consumed, and I can zero in on just precedents, and you can see at the top it's giving me a bunch of master services agreements. So which one would you like me to open, Matt?
All right, well, for the purposes of the webinar, let's assume that the customer organization is a service provider. So why don't we use the pro service provider MSA?
Sure. So here is the pro service provider master services agreement. So I'm not going to open these yet, but there are buttons to open drafting notes and clauses, but just to kind of show the base document, right? It's what you'd expect to see. As you go through it, you can, for example, open these drafting notes that will tell you why clauses are drafted a certain way, hyperlinking elsewhere, and as well as providing alternate clauses that may, it's easier to open them all.
All right, perfect. So
Yeah.
let's say on a quick review, this agreement looks like it will work for us, but it needs a few changes. So how easy is it to just pull this agreement into Microsoft Word? Can we do that?
Yep. Takes a few seconds. Just go to download format, Microsoft Word, no annotations. Download. And here we are.
Okay, that looks good. All right, so at this stage, you would start customizing the document. You might read through and make some changes as you see fit, or do a little bit of research on what clauses you should or should not include in the agreement based on the business context and business needs. But let's say that minimal changes are required, but there are some. We're going to use Lexis Create so that we don't have to jump around different platforms or internal document management systems to revise this agreement. But just before we get there, Dan, can you just show everyone what Lexis Create is and tell us a little bit about the features and functionality?
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. So Lexis Create is an add-in in Microsoft Word. You can see this little button at the top right that opens a side panel that allows you to do anything that you would do in Lexis Plus or Lexis Plus AI directly in Microsoft Word. And as well, you can also connect it to your firm's document management system, so you can draw from your own password product or your firm's password product. So you can access all the content in Lexis Plus. You can access the AI for drafting and summarizing and research. You can search your own DMS, and Create also has some of its own native drafting tools. For example, to help you with editing, revising, maintaining consistency between definitions, checking for mistakes, checking for incomplete information, stuff to polish a document, minimize errors, and just make the review process a lot more stress-free. So that's Lexis Create. Well, where do you want to go from here, Matt?
Okay, so I mentioned that the document looks good, but it might need some changes. Let's say for the purposes of this webinar that the service provider requires disputes arising under its agreements to proceed by way of arbitration. Can you check and see whether this particular MSA has any language addressing mandatory arbitration or disputes?
Yeah, for sure, Matt. So I'm just gonna, in this case, the fastest way to answer that question is just a quick Control F for the word arbitration. So I can pretty quickly see that no, it doesn't. I do want to flag, because that's a pretty simple question that's easily you can just Control F that. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, I won't run it through the system, but I will mention as well that for more complicated questions, in Lexis Plus AI, you can upload, documents and then ask questions about the uploads. So for a more complicated question, I would probably do that, but in this case, Control F is good enough.
Okay, perfect. So let's assume that we want to add in a mandatory arbitration clause. I think this is where Create really shows its value. Can you show us how we would go about finding an arbitration clause and inserting it into this agreement through Lexis Create?
Certainly. So actually what I would do, I would actually use the AI assistant within Create to generate a draft. And I would simply ask it to draft mandatory arbitrations. And then it will pull in draft, making this draft, it will pull from the Lexis content uh, and give us something that we can work with to insert into this document, and then we can further refine it. Okay, so that looks good. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, it can be revised once it's in the agreement, but for the sake of showing how this works, why don't we insert that clause, I guess, right above section 16 governing law?
Sure. Copy. Make this a 15.1. I'll worry about making it look pretty later, but just so it here. And we can do more to make it look pretty later. But that's the
Okay, perfect. I'll just let you finish up there.
good enough. We've got our mandatory arbitration clause.
All right, so we've got the clause, but let's say in your experience, trying to select an arbitrator has been an issue, or it's caused an issue in the past when disputes have arisen. So oftentimes an MSA will contain an arbitration clause, but it won't address selection or appointment of an arbitrator. Does this particular clause address that?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't provide for selecting the arbitrator.
It doesn't. Okay. This is another area where create can really show its value. And, you know, if you're an organization that has had a problem with selection of arbitrators in the past, you probably have standard language somewhere that you prefer to use in your agreements to prevent that from happening again. So this is where create can be used to access your internal document management system to pull that language and plug it right into the agreement. So Dan, can you show us how we might be able to pull in language for selection of an arbitrator and add it to this clause?
Absolutely. So if you're in create and you wanna access your firm's own DMS, so all you have to do is just highlight the clause. Right. And right there, it's looking in my DMS, it's finding 13 exactly like this, 39 with the same title. I'm going to click on find similar clauses. And I'm just going to open the first one and see if it has anything about selecting an arbitrator. Yeah, there we go. In the second paragraph, it has an arbitrator selection clause. So I'll just that here, throw it in now. That. And there we have selection of arbitrator as well as who will bear the costs of the arbitration.
Okay, that's great. I mean, at the end of the day, I think getting the base language in there is what's important here, and being able to then look over it, minimally revise it, and push it out as a new template is valuable. I mean, we're starting from scratch here with nothing, and now we have a full document in a matter of 10 minutes. I mean, the formatting and errors, I guess, throughout the document would probably need to be revised. And I think that's something Create can also do, Dan. So to the extent that we need to fill in gaps, fix formatting, or fix errors, can you show us how we might be able to do that using Create?
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. I mean, I know I corrected a few of that bit of that manually as I went, but Create has a bunch of native features that are built in to help with all of that. So just from the side panel, let's go to view all tasks. For example, if I go to proofreading, right? So one of the things I would have to do before this could be a finished document would be I would have to fill in a bunch of like formatting aside, there's a bunch of, as you can see, like incomplete information in square brackets that needs to be tailored. So Create keeps track of all that, right? So let's go into incomplete information. Create has identified 6 dates throughout the document that have to be filled in. You know, other types of fillable information throughout the document. Which is, because if I was doing this manually, I'd have to read through this document and look for each instance on my own and then make sure I'm being consistent between them. This is an easy way to change them all at once and to change them by category. So I can make sure I'm being consistent throughout the document at the end. As well with, ensuring consistency of formatting. It's identifying where I'm being, formatting one way versus a different way. Making sure that definitions are the same throughout a document, even correcting for non-inclusive language. So yeah, we don't have enough time to go through them all, but there are lots of tools in here to help take you that last 5 or 10% when you're ready just to finalize the document.
Okay, that's great. Obviously, Dan and I went over this very quickly and at a very high level, but the key here is that we're able to complete a complete draft of an agreement in a matter of just a few minutes. It may take you, even if it only takes you an hour to go through this and make it perfect for your organization, that is really decreasing the stress of having to produce a document from scratch. It's improving your productivity, and the functionality within Create Plus is really reducing errors that you might otherwise see from having to manually go through and check all of the different spots or areas that haven't been filled in. So I think at this stage, we'll pop up another poll and answer that, and then we'll take a look at the questions in the chat and see if we can help guide you a little bit further. So I'll just give everybody a minute to answer the poll. So we have a question here that says, is Lexis Create included with Lexis Plus? It is not. You will need an underlying Lexis Plus AI subscription if you wish to use the AI functionality within Create. Is that right, Dan? Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's right, Matt. Create as a product requires Lexis Plus, whether or not you have the AI. And then if you do also subscribe to Lexis Plus AI, you would be able to access the AI in both the Lexis Plus platform and in Create.
Perfect. Okay. Dan, do you know how exactly Create links up to a DMS?
I don't know if I can say exactly. I know that it's essentially plug and play with all the major DMS companies. I don't know them all off by heart. I know there's 6 or 7. I haven't come across anybody that has had a DMS that couldn't link up with Create. I don't understand it to be an extremely technical or idiosyncratic process. As I understand it, it's plug and play with like major DMS providers.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the questions here. What exactly is the source of the underlying precedent? So a couple of things here. Precedents themselves are either created by external professionals working in the field. So LexisNexis has many contracted authors who will produce precedents for various issues, whether it's employment, commercial law, intellectual property, and then they're vetted before being published. We also have a few that are created internally by subject matter experts, and the copyright to these precedents would be held by LexisNexis. Let me see. What programs did you use during this webinar? Yeah, so it's a combination of 3. So Lexis Create is the plugin in Microsoft Word. But it's accessing Lexis Plus AI. We started with Lexis Plus AI to produce the Pro Service Provider Master Services Agreement. But that master services agreement actually sits in our practical guidance product. So if you have Lexis Plus, you have access to these things. But it's really an integration of all 3 platforms that are they're working together to produce what you're seeing here.
That's right, Matt. So I use the AI to find the precedent that we used, but yeah, the precedent that we initially downloaded into Word, yeah, is from practical guidance. Absolutely.
I'm seeing another question here that's asking whether Create can be used to draft documents for litigation, such as a factum. Absolutely. We have all sorts of litigation precedents, whether it's a motion, a summary judgment. Basically, if the template exists in Lexis Plus, it can be pulled into Microsoft Word or accessed through Create. We also have a number of standalone clauses that Create can access to adjust that factum. But Dan, what other functionality would you say exists for drafting litigation related documents in Create?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd say all the same functionality exists. You might just use some of it a little bit differently. Like, so if I was to draft a factum, yeah, so I could start the same way we did by finding a factum in Lexis Plus, and then downloading it, opening it in Create. Or I mean, if I'm a litigator, I've written factums in the past, probably, unless I just got called to the bar, and so I could also open my own precedent, from my DMS within Create, and then I could get to work, cleaning it up. And so if I was downloading a precedent, I might actually start by doing some of the proofreading to scrub out the old names, or to fill in names that are left blank in the precedent, etc. And then I could also rely on, I could do my research right in Create, right? So I wouldn't even have to leave Microsoft Word. I could do it all, what is the test for summary judgment? You can do it all right in Create, including reviewing the cases, including summarizing the cases. So absolutely, you can use this just as much for litigation.
I see another question here about whether we keep a copy of documents accessed. No, we don't. The documents that are accessed are kind of transmitted into Microsoft Word without human intervention. And they're purged automatically after a certain period of inactivity. We don't see them, and we don't have access to them.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything, I mean, our systems were designed to, at great length and with great effort to protect confidentiality and privilege, so that our clients could use our system with confidential information and still respect their professional obligations. And as well, you know, I'm proud to say we've taken the extra step as well of even the encrypted data. So stuff that even we can't see, but you know, sits somewhere temporarily. You know, it's still within Canada and the EU as well. So we take this very, very seriously.
And this is another good question, Dan, and you and I actually chatted about this before jumping into the webinar, but someone has asked whether different precedents are available for different jurisdictions. And so the answer is yes. And the reason we didn't show you, say, a precedent from British Columbia or Ontario or Alberta or Saskatchewan is because the webinar that we're doing is Canada-wide, so we kept it general.
Yep.
But that first search for a master services agreement, we could have limited the jurisdiction to any one of the provinces or territories in Canada, and it would have produced an agreement that would be that much more consistent with the applicable provincial law.
That's absolutely right. And I also, and even beyond that as well, I also could have specified, like, for example, when you asked me to draft a mandatory arbitration clause, right? I could have specified a jurisdiction for that clause. So, you know, if there were particular laws around arbitration that are different between Manitoba versus, you know, Nova Scotia, you know, our system would pick up on that in drafting the clause.
Dan, this is a good question for you. What is a difference between searching MSA precedents directly in practical guidance, um, as opposed to using the AI assist to source the precedents in PG? So
Yeah,
using AI instead of doing a manual search.
yeah. I think for some things it may be equally as fast. I find generally the AI is often faster for surfacing secondary materials than traditional search. I now, frankly, like even you know when I'm searching for anything now, I always use the AI, even if I don't care about, like, even if I know I'm going to look at everything myself, I just jump right to the bottom of an output. I just go to view related material, and I can filter whatever content I want to see. And you know, I'm not going to I can't say it's going to be faster in every case, especially if you're looking for something that you know exactly where it is, right? You know, if you, in that case, you know, you might be just as fast browsing, but I don't know. I find the AI is just faster at surfacing those things now. But you can certainly do it traditional routes.
Yeah, that's right, Dan.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just about at time. I apologize if we never got to your questions. There are quite a few in there, and we hope you found this webinar useful. There's a lot happening in the AI space, so stay tuned for future webinars. And a big thank you from LexisNexis for joining us today.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.